Hey, what's up, my friends? Hope you are doing well. I hate doing these videos just in my room, but I'll put some overlays on the screen and stuff like that so it's more interesting. So, yeah, I wanted to make a video about why I sold my Humvee, because there's a few reasons. Honestly, it wasn't all just like one reason or one thing. It wasn't a money thing. I could have easily kept it and held on to it. I live pretty modestly, other than like my toys and my stuff, but I don't have a big house. I don't have a big fancy car. What I'm trying to say is my month-to-month payments are very small. So I think first and foremost, the main reason I got rid of that thing was, honestly, I got tired of working on it. Now, I know a lot of people are going to jump in right now and say, well, you shouldn't have got a Humvee if you don't want to work on it, and they're maintenance nightmares and all that. And no. I hate to burst your guys' bubble, but that was not the case at all. It did have stupid stuff, like, for instance, a gauge would stop working for some reason, or, the worst thing that ever happened that was the most expensive was my start box went out. I had one of the known terrible ones, and that went out, and that was like $800 or $700 or something. But it wasn't a hard job. I just plopped the new one in there. The reason it was almost like a second job was because of all the stuff I was doing to it. I was either replacing parts that I thought would eventually break, or I was upgrading it. But all that stuff takes time, right? The entire process to upgrade it was a solid like 6 months. And then my paint job wasn't very good. So all the clear coats started peeling off. So I just knew that right there would be, I was talking to a few sort of guys who had like a professional shop and they'd be willing to paint it and stuff like that. But I knew right there I'd have to find a way to get it to them. I'd have to strip the whole truck down while I was in their lot probably, or, before I got it to them. And I'd have to completely clean it. I'd have to prep the entire surface, sand the whole thing down, clean it off again. And even then, I wasn't willing to put like a $5,000 paint job on the thing because it's a military Humvee. I already had too much money into it anyway. So who knows if that paint job would have held up, right? Just right there, that whole thing, we're talking probably over 100 hours of work, right? And then you had stuff like, I added those rock rails, and that was a big hassle, and then the bumper and the rear bumper and the top and the seats, and then there's something I wanted to do, with the front seat and the interior because it was a little bit too close to the dash, and I could probably fab it up a little better, and some of the bed liner was starting to come up a little bit, so I'd have to respray that, and just, oh my gosh, and tires, alignment, and the only way to align it is you take these shims out of the upper control arms to mess with the camber on the truck, and even then you can't quite get it perfect. But there was always something, there was literally always something. And the fact of the matter is, it's a big truck. Stuff sort of gets tweaked, stuff, gets stripped out. Anyone who's worked on trucks knows how it can go. It's a big truck, it's an older truck. It was in really good condition with pretty minimal rust, but anything that weighs like 7,000 pounds, you're going to have tough times. It's just the fact of the matter of it. And the thing is, I never had anything major go wrong with it other than that start box thing, and that was only major from like a cost perspective, right? It wasn't major from a work perspective. The only problems I really ever had with that truck was the glow plugs. I burnt up a few glow plugs for some reason. Might have had to do with the old box being on the fritz. Don't really know what that was all about. But that wasn't a big deal. It's a pretty small job if you have the right extraction tool. But I was always worried that I would be on the eve of breaking something major, right? And, you break something major on a Wrangler, for example, it's a whole different thing than if you break something major on a Humvee. I wasn't rich enough to get a big truck with a huge flatbed trailer and tow it around that way, so I physically drove this thing to everywhere I off-roaded it. If I blow a half shaft or something, for example, on a Humvee, there's not like just local shops around where I'm going to be able to get more half shafts. It's literally, I mean, unless I have one with me and I'm willing to put it in myself even, good luck. You know, I could be stuck there for a week or weeks actually. That was a very long way of saying I don't really want to work on the thing. And I don't want the potential to work on it like a lot if something major goes wrong. So, the second reason is my main passion is actually racing. I like racing cars and I like racing motorcycles. So, and let me narrow that down too. You know, cars, my main passion is racing for sure. Motorcycles, I really like everything. Yes, I do like racing. I do track days on my 701 Supermoto. I wish there was a better way for me to make videos about that, but they don't really allow GoPros. And I'm about to get another track bike, which I don't know if I should keep it a surprise or just announce it, but it's really cool. I like riding on the street, and then I like riding off-road, and I want to get a dirt bike or something like that. And I like adventure biking, you know, a little street and road mixed together. So I mean, in just every single kind of motorcycling I love. And that's a few reasons. I mean, one, I love the way it makes you feel, straight up. And two, motorcycles are so much easier to work on than cars are. I don't care, you know, what you want to argue with me in the comments or whatever. But, I mean, number one, you're not laying on your back for the most part. You know, I don't know really what situation you'd be laying on your back to work on a motorcycle. You may have to take off some body panels, but once again, for the most part, everything's easily accessible. You know, it's all kind of just right there. And three, I mean, I have a lot of Japanese and European motorcycles, so I can't necessarily speak to like Buell or Harley Davidson. Although I do have one Harley, but three, they are super well designed. I feel like it's a lot easier to design a motorcycle than it is a car or a truck. Nothing on a bike usually is like an afterthought where it's like super difficult to get to and you have to take off like 6 components first, and you can tell they just kind of tacked this thing on because they had to or they forgot about it. There's definitely stuff like that on trucks and Humvees and Jeeps. But for the most part on bikes, they're very well designed and very easy to work on for that reason, which I really, really like. And the other thing is they're basic. You know, there's only so much you can put on a motorcycle. I liked the Humvee because it was pretty basic as well. But even that, if you look at a Humvee engine compared to a motorcycle engine, I mean, just the mess of wires and, you know, vacuum line. I don't know if there's a lot of vacuum lines on a Humvee, but, you know, oil lines, water, coolant, reservoir, all kind of stuff like that, pumps. It's just, it seems way more complicated than a bike, and it's obviously on a much bigger scale. So I do like working on bikes a whole lot more. To me, that actually is kind of a stress reliever, like it is for some people with cars. So, you know, that's kind of another long-winded way of saying, basically, I like bikes a lot more than cars. I do like driving cars. I really enjoy that. I love racing them. But I don't necessarily like working on them very much. And I don't know. I guess some people are going to make fun of me for that and say I'm not, you know, a real racer or something if I don't want to work on my cars. But at least I'm brave enough to admit it. I don't enjoy that part of it. I only would do it because I have to. So, I hope that clears things up a little bit for you guys. I don't know if you're more or less angry with me than I was when I started this video. But in a nutshell, that is the reasons I got rid of the Humvee. Going forward, I'm going to keep making content. I hope you don't leave. It's going to be more about bikes. I have an inkling of a thought to maybe get a Suzuki Samurai and add that to the channel. But I have a feeling that's just going to be Humvee 2.0. You know, I mean, everything, not that they're similar in any way, but it's going to be a lot of work. I was looking at some listings and I was just like, you know, needs head gasket, leaking oil, blah, blah, blah. And I just don't know about all that yet. My girlfriend did just pick up a Jeep Wrangler, a new one. So we do have plans for that for the channel. As you guys know, I am not the biggest Jeep person. But, you know, I got to give credit where credit's due. It's a really cool little vehicle. It's a two-door. It's absolutely tiny compared to the Humvee, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun on the trails. So I'll cut the video now. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you stay with me. Maybe I can get you into bikes as well if you're not. I love you guys, and I thank you so much for all the support. We just hit over 8,000 subscribers, which is just really cool. I got my sights set on 10,000 now. I think we might get it before the end of the year. So, all right, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.